Hey there, we are live. Oh my goodness. Hello. If you're tuning in on the replay, hello. And if you're watching live, then I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give it a few minutes just for people to kind of jump in and connect. Oh my goodness, there's been so many powerful conversations that I've been having these past few days with women in my community, in my field, and I really want to talk about this because, yeah, it's just going to be a juicy one. This may be one of those where you may just want to grab a cup of tea or coffee and just like hang out for a bit. The Influential Woman 1.0. What does that even mean? Like Influential Woman Codex 1.0. What does that even mean? And I really love this topic of, women stepping into their leadership, women experiencing their level of power, women embodying the influential persona inside of themselves so that they can bring it out into the world. And you may think, wait, Lizzie, like influential woman, does that mean we manipulate? Does that mean we, somehow play bad tricks on other people? And that's not what I mean, obviously. If you've been in my world for a while, you may understand that that's definitely not what I would want to say. What I really want to speak about actually is how we actually collapse our power. And, the places, like the subtle places where our power leaks, where our power kind of disintegrates without us even noticing until we're like all the way in and we're noticing, wait, there's something happening here that I never consented to. And so the influential woman codex to me, there's different levels to this, yes, because there's always, like an initiation process. There's a purification process, and then there's embodiment. And so the Influential Woman Codex 1.0 really is about this first phase of initiation. Because, how do I want to put this? Because really, when we're looking at influential women in the world, we have a perception of what that is. We have a perception of what an influential woman looks like, what she does, what she says, what she, how she embodies things. And very often we have a distorted perception of that influence because we just receive the outprint, right? And so what I really want to speak about today is the imprint, like what's really happening within and inside, because that's really where, we create that subtle shift that ripples out as magnetism in the world. And so when I speak about the Influential Woman Codex 1.0, it really is about this internal experience, this internal initiation into our power, which obviously always brings us into the disconnected aspect. Like, where is it that our power is leaking? And so it really is all about going into this internal journey of understanding where your energy is positioned, right? Is your energy positioned in a thriving experience? Is it positioned in an expanding experience? Or is your energy positioned in a way where energetic collapse happens, which means you're being influenced by someone else's action from the outside that really shifts your internal state, yes? So I will talk a lot about the internal state in this class because I really feel that that's really where we receive the, like this initiation process of becoming being, remembering who we are as an influential woman. So this is kind of like the introduction to this. I'm going to give you, very specific examples because I love to give specific examples. So one of the places really like in conversation that really came up this week was when I was speaking to one of my former clients, and she had just recently gone into this job interview. Not that she needed a new job, she just was curious because this was actually a position that she always thought she wanted to be in, and she loves the position where she's at right now. So it was really more about curiosity. And what she said to me was, Lizzie, there was this real disconnection between me and these people interviewing me, and really they were using manipulative tactics in order to break her spirit, right? In order to influence her energy to collapse, to see how she would basically deal with the circumstance. And so one of the things that I teach the women when they come in is really about monitoring where their energy is, and monitoring also where their energy is leaking and where their energy is in this expansive state of being. And so what she really felt there, she didn't say this directly, but I know I've known her for quite a few years because we've worked together for a few years. And so what really she monitored was that there was an energetic collapse that was being influenced by the circumstance, by somebody else, right? By these people trying to literally break her spirit to see, how she would respond and react. And of course, this was highly manipulative. This was, and this is, unfortunately, we see this in a lot of places in the world. And whatever is happening in the world is what's happening in the world. It's not about what's happening to you. It's about what happens in the face of receiving an influence that you do not desire to participate in. What happens when you are being manipulated, when you're being abused, right? This can go all the way to abuse, by the way, of course, right? When something is happening that somebody else is influencing you, right? And your energy. And so really the initiation phase, that 1.0 factor of this codex, is about learning where your energy is, where it is being directed by other people, and receiving awareness about what's actually happening. Yes, because of course in the first phase, when this is happening, we don't really understand what's really going on. Very often we clock the day after, or like even weeks later sometimes, that wait, there was an influence that was being that was being put on me, and I didn't know how to respond. And of course, this woman has been working with me for some time, so she knew how to respond, and she knew how to reorientate her energy in such a way where she was not being influenced anymore by what she didn't consent to being influenced by. And instead, she became the influential woman, right? Which is always about how your energy is being directed, orientated, moved. And so becoming the influential woman, Codex 1.0, really is about becoming the influence of your energy, of your state, realizing what is happening. And then, of course, in a second phase and a third phase is about reorientating, circuiting your energy. And then, in the ultimate phases, it's about influencing the outer world. And what's really interesting is that very often when that phase has been, accomplished, is that you don't even need to consciously or mentally or cognitively influence what's happening outside of you. It happens as a natural result because your nervous system is online, it's on board. And when your nervous system is on board, when wait, I'm going into a collapsed state of being, bam, 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 I'm doing whatever I need to do in order to reconnect with my state and redraw the energy where I would like it to be drawn, whether that's in, setting a boundary, whether that's putting the attention out on this other person, right? And where it's, it can go all the way to, telling that person to basically F off, if you can do that. But it really is like becoming this influential woman 1.0 is about becoming deeply aware of what is happening inside of you in that state of being. And then, of course, 2.0, 3.0 is to recirculate that energy. But really, that influential woman 1.0 is truly, the initiation phase is about building awareness around this. And so if you're familiar with the spiritual teachings and, the spiritual way of seeing the world, there's really three major levels on how we operate in this world. We have the third dimension, which is very much connected to everything that is earthly. It's what is in the matter, what is happening right here, right now, on a human level. What is this conversation about? What are the action points? What is the exchange, literally, with words, with money, with whatever it is that is more matter-based. Then we have the fourth dimension, which is really more in the mental body. So I explained this a lot in the five body blueprint that I teach in all of my programs and that I initiate all of my clients into, is that you really have the mental body, and this is about becoming aware of what is happening. And so every single time we shift from, experiencing life on this third dimension, and we zoom out with our mental cognitive consciousness, we zoom out, we actually tap into the fourth dimension. And so it's like, really, this is what raising your frequency is, yes? Well, not only, it's one of the ways. This is a lot deeper, of course, right? But the third dimension is everything that is happening transactionally on this planet, in this field, in this human experience. And the fourth dimension really is the awareness. And very often what happens when we're losing our power, when, somebody else is influencing us, when somebody else is trying to abuse, manipulate, coax us into a direction where we don't desire to be, is we actually respond with the nervous system of, strategy of survival, which very often for women, what this means, it has them going into fawn flight, fight or freeze response. And very often for women, it's actually either the fawn, which means that you're kind of overriding your state and you're trying to please, so you're dripping your energy, you're leaking your energy into codependency mechanisms, or you're freezing, which is almost worse because you're basically going to a shock state, and it's almost like you're dead in that moment. There's no action going on. And so when that isn't happening, when your nervous system is giving off the response that actually you are in danger, yes, you then become a victim to the circumstance, because you have no power to literally pull yourself out of the situation, to literally run away, leave the room, create a boundary, create a wall, an energetic wall where the energy of influence outside of you can basically not impact you anymore. And so whenever we're going into that survival state in our nervous system, what happens is we're shutting off the cortex, yes, the neocortex part of our brain. And when that happens, the fourth dimension is basically out of the equation, right? Because the fourth dimension really is the mental body. And so the mental body is connected with becoming aware of what's happening. And without that in place, we can actually not reorientate anything, and we lose the power of influence in that exact moment, okay? So whenever we are becoming aware of our state, yes, when we're not just collapsing into the state, but we're becoming aware that this is what is happening. My default program, every single time that somebody's trying to abuse me, every single time that somebody's trying to influence me, to control me, to direct my energy in a way where I don't wish to go, yes, whenever we're becoming aware of our state of being, we're actually automatically defaulting into the fourth dimension, which always is an invitation into the portal of the fifth dimension, which is ethereal. And this is really where we're accessing our, more elevated state of consciousness, which is, connected with being capable of reorientating our energy, of reorientating and influencing not only our energy, but where we're desiring to go, where we're what we're desiring to create in that moment. And so becoming an influential woman in the Codex 1.0, the initiation phase really is the awareness. Because whenever we're aware, we're coming closer to the part in the energetic frequency system that is wired for creation, that is wired for thriving, that is wired for expansion. And in that state of the fifth dimension, right, which is very much like, if you're again into the spiritual teachings, this is where you're actually accessing the genius level of your soul, right? And where you not only have the influence over your own state, but you also have the influence over the exchange that is happening. Do you wish to continue having this exchange in this exact moment? And all of a sudden, you have all these choices open, right? And that in and of itself, when you know in that state of being that you're having a freeze response, that you're having a fawn response, right? You're aware of it, and you know you're aware of it. You know that that's happening. All of a sudden, you have the choice. And whenever you're having the choice, what happens? You're creating a new reality. Yes? So this creation of a new reality is nothing else but us being fully and deeply connected with who we are at the core, which is always abundant, always in connection with our highest, highest destiny, which is always in connection with the highest good of all. And this is really where we can basically hijack the abuser, yes, or we can hijack the manipulation that is happening. And we're like, no, I'm creating a win-win situation here. Like, what do you mean you're trying to influence me? What do you mean you're trying to do all of these things to me? There's no way you're doing this without my consent. Yes, and so when we're taking our power back in that exact state of being, this 1.0 is really what leads to the 2.0, the 3.0, the 4.0, the 5.0, which really is always about how we're not only influencing our own state, we're influencing our energy, where it is being orientated, we're influencing the conversation, we're influencing the outcome of that conversation. Yeah, so you see how this is creating a whole different ripple effect in the way we really experience the world at large. Yeah, and so yes, again, coming back to that experience of women losing their power into abuse, into manipulation, into, being coaxed into whatever it is. And this, of course, goes for women as much as for men, but obviously I work with women mainly, so this is very relevant. And with women, there's this very, default nature where we naturally go into the fawn response and into the freeze response, because this is just what has socially been conditioned into us, that it is okay to be, an equiescent woman, a woman who submits, a woman who is nice, a woman who is not even kind, but just nice. You need to be a good girl. And in order to fit into that frame of being a good girl, you very often default into that by the fawn response, by the freeze response, right? You're not going to go into fight because women, are literally conditioned and programmed that fighting is just going to bring us into more abuse or, more trauma or more pain. So we usually default with these other two. And those two states are very subtle, because if you're fighting, you can see that there's something that's off and you literally bursting out and you can get yourself out of the situation. But with the fawn and the freeze, there's none of that. There is no interruption of the pattern. Yes? Because you're literally playing facade in one way when you're actually feeling in a whole different way. Yes? And so that disconnect and that disruption that really happens in that what's really happening inside of us, what we're really showing out on the outside, is literally creating, a disconnected response in our state of being, not only, but also it creates a state where we're continuously losing trust in ourselves. And this is really when, women come to me and they're like, I want to be more confident. I want to access, states of power more in my life. This is the place we have to look into. It's really the places where you actually default into freeze and fawn instead of, extracted awareness where you have a bird's eye vision and you can see, oh, this state of being is happening again. Oh, I've just, done this. And instead of it lasting 3 weeks and you coming back to me going, Lizzie, I just experienced the most traumatic event in my life. It actually happens in the same instant you're experiencing that state of being, which literally changes the way you experience your reality. Yes, because you are capable of influencing your state and influencing the conversation, influencing the situation that would would originally be wired for abuse, trauma, pain, suffering, disconnection, interruption, collapse, right? Lack of intimacy, conflict. And instead, you reorientate your own circuitry in your own nervous system, which naturally leads into a whole different way of circumstances. Yes, it opens up the gateways for other possibilities, and you all of a sudden receive the choice. Do I want to stay here and continue this suffering experience, or do I want to change it? Do I want to change it? And can I change it? And how can I change this? Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I've said quite a bit in this class. You may have questions about this. You may have seen this at play in your life. You may also feel that there is also something from that experience of, how do I say it? I've seen this happening. I even have awareness, but what do I do now? Yeah. And so with those experiences, there is, of course, the initiation phase, and we have to respect the initiation phases with this, yes, because it's not something that you will change in an instant. Even if we have a coaching call together, you may, definitely access higher levels of consciousness when this is occurring, but really, it's not in an instant that this is going to shift, because you need to go and practice the lesson in multiple scenarios so that you can monitor yourself, you can see for yourself every single time that this and this and this happens, I go into this default state. Every single time I go into this default state, I usually do blah, 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 blah. And so you need to repeat the cycle of initiation over and over and over a longer period of time so that you become aware of what is really happening. Yes. And so that it's not going to last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even years. Yes. It's like when I was entangled in a toxic relationship dynamic years ago. Yes. There are still moments today I'm like, wow, now almost 10 years after this experience, I can see how that situation was actually a fawn response. That situation was a freeze response, right? It took me 10 years to realize that was, a default response of trauma and traumatic bonding, and that I didn't claim my power. Yes. And so today, whenever I'm, teaching women about this and teaching women about, accessing a new state and reorientating a new state, it is, a long-term commitment. Yes, because you will be triggered for the rest of your life. Let me just tell you this. You will be positioned in experiences for the rest of your life where you're going to be influenced by other people without your consent. And so what is it that you're going to be doing when that is happening, right? Because everything is literally, you're creating your reality, and this is not a spiritual, BS that I'm telling you, but you're literally experiencing a different reality when you become aware of you're in a state, how that is, wired for either collapse and survival, or it's wired for empowerment, for healthy relationship dynamics, this is what an empowered relationship feels, looks, and sounds like, yes, and I can literally pull toxic relationship dynamics into a place of power. Yeah. And so it's very interesting, because when this really happens is when we influence our nervous system, we influence the whole room. We literally do. When you feel a person who is confident and fully aligned and fully connected with who they really are at the core, and they have no barriers, they don't need to wear masks, they don't need to pretend they're someone they're not, you can feel that. Yes. And that influence doesn't happen because they have something that you haven't. It happens because their nervous system is deeply regulated. And our nervous systems really, they are like electric circuits. They're like magnets. And so they calibrate with one another. And so this magnetism really can be felt on an energetic level. And this is really also why when you are taking care of your third dimensional experience with an empowered energetic framework, you can literally influence the energy in every room you step into. Yes, because you have the no BS filter going. Yes, you are transparent. You are clear with your boundaries. And when the boundaries are not being respected, you don't go, oh my goodness, I have to protect myself. But you literally rewire things in such a way where you have the empowered conversation, you have the course correction, and you don't flinch a second. Yes, you don't flinch a second of putting a person back in their own place, like how we sometimes express this. And it's not about putting the other person into their place from a place of aggression, right? And this is really where the distinction comes in, in the later stages of, the influential woman codex, 3.0, 4, 5, 6.0. It's really the subtlety, is that you then begin to do things with grace. You then begin to do things from a place of non-attachment, yes? So all these non-attachment theories that are being taught are literally, I honestly believe that we can only tap into higher levels of into higher levels of spiritual evolution when we have fully taken care of this third dimensional experience that we're having right here, right now, when things are happening, when the trigger zone is occurring, when, family members are manipulating us, abusing us, not, listening, not taking care of the conversation. The truth is somewhere deep inside, and nobody wants to hear this, by the way, and I did not want to hear this, but you're actually influencing this, whether you like it or not. Subconsciously, you are influencing how people are treating you by the way you respond to the trigger zone. And, let this just be your light bulb moment. Go sit with that for some time. And if you're ready to have a conversation that is deeper around this, I'm available. You can send me a DM. We can talk about coaching together. We can talk about, all kinds of things that you want to talk about. Please don't DM me if it's just to, share personal experiences and light bulb moments. Share those here below so people can celebrate you. Yes. If this was helpful for you, send me a DM and, let's continue the conversation, but from a place of true expansion and true, literally going into detail about what is it that really moved you. Yes, I don't want to hear the generic things like, oh, your talk was amazing. I have my DMs are full of these. Please stop those things. Let's have proper conversations. Yes, let's have proper conversations. Let's get this thing rolling. I have a busy schedule and I sometimes cannot reply to, personal stories. But if you really desire to have a deeper level of conversation and you want to receive coaching about this, on how you can regulate your nervous system, how you can embody your fifth dimensional consciousness right here, right now, it's about bringing things into the third dimension, right? And I will be challenging you. Yes, especially if you're highly advanced spiritually speaking, you may have some blind spots. Yes, I have people who come and work with me. They are experts in their spiritual fields. Yes, they have incredible results with their own clients, and yet they will have their blind spots. And this is why they come to me, because my expertise really is to bring the spiritual awakening down into this exact moment in time in your third dimensional reality, because everything happens here. We incarnated here. Yes, we have a beautiful human a beautiful spiritual body that is desiring to bring medicine into this field, but it's got to happen in this nervous system too. We've got to bring things online with our human experience. It doesn't work in any other way, right? You can go up into your fifth dimensions and higher and speak to your spirit guides and have all your soul alignments. Go get the lessons, but find ways on how to ground it right here, right now, because the right here, right now in this third third dimensional experience, this is really where the true influence is happening. And this is how we can create amazing relationships with people, and we can hold powerful boundaries and standards, but it's going to happen on this level. Yeah. Anyway, my love, I'm ready. Like rumbling on here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can see that you're just popping in and out. And you know, whoever is watching now, thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments, and if you want to receive more coaching about this, I would love for us to just continue the conversation in a DM. You can send me a DM, and yeah, we can look into private coaching. We can look into just, you know, ushering you into one of my group coaching journeys. I have some new group coaching journeys happening in 2023. So I'm taking, pre-signed, like pre-signments right now. So if you want to get into that, you'll also receive some one-on-one coaching with me. But let's not let those things slide, yes? Because your influence in this world really matters, and it begins with you and how you monitor and experience your state. So I'm just seeing here. Hi, they're lovely to see. Oh, Maria Leanne, thank you so much. Born with your knowledge all about... Sorry, you born with your knowledge about all, or did you remember along the way? I wonder. Oh my goodness, it's... Yeah, there is a lot of remembrance in this work, but there's also initiation. I've been initiated by powerful humans. And it's been an incredible journey of remembering my power, but also putting things into practice, learning the frameworks on how to read my own energy, learning different frameworks, you know, in tantric workshops, spiritual workshops, but also literally straight on coaching and straight on relationships, human relationships with people who have no idea about spirituality, and just keeping things real, keeping things connected on the heart level has been probably one of the most powerful teachings that I've had, because they really forced me to, you know, bring all this crazy soulful spiritual woo stuff down here, and, you know, landing into deeper levels of meeting my pain body, meeting the pain body. It's, you know, so many things. But no, I didn't do this alone. Obviously not. Yes, there's been a lot of beautiful humans who have accompanied my journey. And of course, the experience will always be mine, and I will be teaching from my embodied like knowledge and wisdom of what I've received, but it's gone through a whole process, of course. Yes, I love this question. All right, my love. Have a beautiful evening or day, wherever you are in the world. I love you so much. And yes, I'm excited. I'm excited for us to really bring things into clarity in this third dimensional perspective, and truly embody our fifth dimensional consciousness and bring it down so we can experience more of that beauty. Thank you so much. I love you. Bless your soul too, my love. And I will see you on the medias. I love you. Talk to you soon.